Stop, listen, and ask yourself, have you ever pondered at the idea that there may be something to the other side? If so, and you're hearing my voice for the first time, then you may have just fallen into the void.
This is Baritone Joe from Los Angeles, and I am falling with G-Man into the void.
Well, hey there, hello there, bats and ghouls, and welcome to a very special 13th episode of Into the Void, where we talk about anything and everything paranormal. I am your ghost host with the most, G-Man, and listener, do we have a show for you? Now, we aren't going to waste too much time here because we have a lot to talk about and some very special returning guests with us. Also, we are getting closer and closer to that very special time of year where the monsters, goblins, and costumes start to make their presence known. I am, of course, talking about Halloween. Now, it has come to my attention that there are forces out there who are trying to cancel Halloween, or rather just not go out and about to do traditional trick-or-treating this year. And I can understand with this crazy pandemic that we're all experiencing, but I've said it once, and I'll continue to say it over and over again. Halloween is not dead. I understand the joy of trick-or-treating or going to a Halloween party, and I imagine there will be some of you who will not stay home and defy what has been asked of us. You can't stop traditions. All I ask is that you be smart and be safe. As always, before we get started, I'd like to take this moment to thank our listeners and who have been following with us. I cannot say this enough. Your support is truly appreciated. One thing we love to do here on Into the Void is to give shout-outs to small businesses, online stores, or what is also known as mom and pop shops. We are all about supporting the community, and in doing so, we love to help spread the word about what you do and what your store has to offer. So, for this episode, I'd like to give a big shout-out to Witchwood for the Morbidly Inclined. From home decor and accessories, Witchwood for the Morbidly Inclined has what you need to help add some spooky fun to your All Hallows Eve. From vegan-style berets to vegan cashmere scarves. And if you go to their website, you'll see an array of fun titles and unique designs. One of their biggest luxury items is their handbags, which are made from the softest, high-quality vegan leather to give each bag that sought-after high-end quality and feel. I myself have my eyes set on their Halloween bow tie collection because, well, bow ties are cool. Visit their website, witchwoodbags.com, and for every purchase you make, a portion of the proceeds will go to the Irvine Animal Care Center. Your purchase will help many pets get the care and love they need and hopefully a new home. That's witchwoodbags.com. witchwoodbags.com. And with that, I believe it's time to bring out my amazing co-host for this episode. And note that I said co-host. In accordance with the COVID guidelines, we have made the choice to have one of our co-hosts sit this episode out. And don't worry, he'll be back soon. So without further ado, bats and ghouls, please help me in welcoming a man who needs no introduction. But what kind of host would I be if I didn't give him one? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the anime-loving, Doctor Who-watching, seventh wonder of the world, the Strange One.
Hey, listener. Welcome back to the show. Glad to have you, and hope you're being safe out there. You know, there's a lot of danger out there in the world, and a lot of fires, weather anomalies. There's so much going on. Just be safe, especially those of you out here in Southern California, all throughout California, throughout the West Coast, all the way up to Oregon.
Oh, yeah.
There's just so many fires going out there. So, you know, pray for everybody. Make sure that you yourself are safe, and take care. And hope you enjoy today's show.
Awesome. And are you excited for today's episode?
Always excited. Excited because I missed out on the last time we had today's guest with us. I couldn't be a part of the show because, again, we're just trying to keep safe. And here we are again.
We are. But before we get to our main event, here's a word from our sponsor. Looking for a new and exciting hair accessory to express the Disney lover in you? Maybe you'd like to combine your Disney interest with another of your guilty pleasures. Then check out creative designer Yolanda from Flowers & Company on Instagram at My Floral Creations. My Floral Creations specializes in custom Mickey ear headbands. Visit their YouTube channel for more designs and Yolanda's how-to videos in making your own crafts. Stop by one of the My Floral Creation pages and drop a DM for more information on how you can get your own custom Mickey headband. That's My Floral Creations on Instagram. Welcome back, Bats and Ghouls, and now it's time to introduce our special guests. Many moons ago, at a musician-only jam party, two souls converged, igniting a fire fueled by music. Little did they know their music would not only change my life, but many others as well. You may have seen them perform live at events like Burning Man, Lucidity Festival, or in July of this year when they were able to have a live performance online through a Los Angeles event company who focuses on building the SoCal jam band community. They have made such a wave through the LA scene, and the sound they produce is like no other. And I have the honor, nay, the privilege, to have them here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, Bats and Ghouls, please welcome back to the studio the climate fighting, smooth playing, BLM protesting, spiritual lifting, and psychedelic sound making band, Blooming Fire.
What up?
Good to be back.
Good to be
What
here.
up, G-Man?
How's it going?
It's going great, man. Just excited to be here and talk about all kinds of different things.
Awesome. Well, it is so great to have you back on the show. And I'd like to start off by saying I really enjoyed watching you guys play again live online. That was spectacular.
Thank you. I appreciate that. We appreciate that. We had fun. It was definitely a challenge for us, but we pulled through and had a good time.
Awesome. And I know it was crazy with the craziness of this world right now and the pandemic that we're having,
Right.
having to socially distance yourself from playing in front of a live audience.
Right.
I imagine that was pretty tough, with no
It's
one
hard
there.
to
And
do
just
a show. Like when we go live for small things, we can talk to our fans and interact with them. When you're doing
Right.
something like that where you're like even away from the computer and you're just playing in a room, it's not something that we have done yet. So besides recording, and that's like a different mindset.
Right.
So it was definitely a great learning experience, and we ended up having a lot of fun and getting in the groove,
Awesome. I love it. So what's been happening since the last time you guys were here?
Well, we're just working on our album, our first album, diligently working on it. We have about 15 songs on the demo list right now, down
Beautiful.
from about like 60. So
Okay.
that list might go up to like 20 songs on the demo, and then we keep crunching out the demo. And once we are kind of satisfied with the demo, we're going to pitch it to a couple of producers that we really want to work with and see if they want to work with us. And if not, screw them. We'll do it ourselves. No.
Sounds good.
Right.
But yeah, we're really excited. We're working hard on just really getting tight with our sound. It's the first time the four of us are only writing the entire thing. We've always had other people in our project, and we're definitely going to be featuring a lot of artists on the album. But the core writers are the four of us.
Okay.
Ian's not with us today, but Robbie and Dryden are here, and me, Sierra. So the four of us will be, the main brains behind the piece.
Sounds good. Yeah, I just to let the listeners know, like you said, Ian is not here.
Right.
And last time you guys were here, I believe it was Ian who had mentioned about a downhill longboarding competition.
Yes.
Is he still doing downhill longboarding?
He is still doing downhill longboarding. He has been injured for about a year and a half.
Oh no.
Unfortunately, he dislocated his shoulders one too many times. He had to get a surgery, and then 3 months into the healing process, or like 2.5 months, he actually got assaulted by a police officer.
Oh my gosh.
And they ripped him out of the car by the arm. We still don't know the reason why behind all of that.
Oh,
a bunch of
man.
bull. Anyway, they ripped him by the arm he had surgery on and re-damaged the tendons that got repaired, and damaged it to a point where he actually had to get like bolts in his arm. And
Oh,
didn't he have to get like
man.
some of the bones sawed and
Oh gosh.
But good news is this past week he actually got to go out and ride his skateboard. Not doing big hills yet, but little hills. We went to Sedona, Arizona, and he was cruising through the mountains there. So that was like really the first time he's been back on a board, and you know, he's just got a whole new light to him. He really needs that in his life. So we're really happy for him to be back on the board.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's good. That's good that he's back on the board. Little
it's
steps.
hard to be injured for a year and a half.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. Last time we were here, it was mainly Dryden and Ian talking about that story about the UFOs.
Right. Yes. Oh yes.
I
was
on
actually,
our first tour, and I was just
yeah.
kind of chiming in here and there. But yeah, so Ian was, you know, if you haven't checked out that episode, people who are listening, go check that one out. It's episode 10 of season 1.
That's
so
right.
Go check it out.
Yeah,
if you want to hear about some alien encounters.
That was a very interesting episode, and yes, I definitely
what you
encourage.
revealed in that episode was the coolest part of the whole thing, man. Honestly, like for us to tell you the story and then you tell us like the history behind that area and stuff, that blew my mind.
Yeah, I was before you guys had arrived. Dryden and I were talking, and I told him, you know, I like to do that. I like to read stories, have people send me their story, then I read the story, and then I just look for facts. I look for things that, you know, could stand out. I think it makes the story come alive more when you give the facts too.
That's why I love Into the Void. That's like the main reason. I think that's like really unique that you do that.
Now we're about to get to Dryden's paranormal encounters here. One more thing I want to mention is that I know as a band you guys are big on saving the environment. Are you still doing the beach cleanups or the? I believe you said it was Heal the Bay last time you were here.
Yeah, you know, we haven't done any during the quarantine. We do cleanups like pretty much anywhere we go. We are constantly cleaning any hike we go on. Even this past weekend when we were in Sedona. You know, every hike we did, we picked up trash, a bunch of trash on the way. But we haven't hosted a cleanup, obviously, in this year, just because everything going on and whatnot. But I've been down to the beaches recently, in Venice mainly, Santa Monica, and it is rough compared to what it was. So we should definitely, I've been thinking about it, maybe before the end of the year, we'll host one.
Okay.
But our main focus lately, we really have been just trying to dig into the album and just kind of, you know, just breathe and be as easy as we can on ourselves. I'm pretty hard on these boys, but
someone's got to crack the whip in the band,
at the
right?
end of the day. At the end of the day, we've just, you know, we've never taken a moment for just the music. We've always inserted shows and this and that into every part of the creation process. And it's been nice to not do that this time and really just come together on the vision for the album and what we're trying to say with it. And we're definitely talking about Mother Nature in there. Because,
nice.
You know, we're definitely talking about all kinds of stuff like that. So.
I thought you were going to say something strange one.
I was listening a little while ago, but the topic kind of just like went by me. I was like, oh, I missed the boat. I got to wait for the next one.
Dude.
No, but that's fast. That's awesome. I am listening in, so you guys know. I'm not just like by myself.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh, we're by the corner.
I know we can't see you.
and that's probably the biggest issue because I'm so used to being in the group. Now I'm behind the computer screen. I want to move it, but I want to move his stuff.
We see you, the strange one.
I can see you. I'll just get taller.
So no, that's actually I'm excited and listening in on everything that's just going on. I want to just sit and listen. This is fascinating. You know?
Right on.
Yeah,
Awesome.
absolutely.
We were just saying that before we started that true musicians, they really listen. We were like, we'll just feed off of each other. You
Exactly. So, Dryden,
What up?
I believe it's time
Okay.
that we talk about some paranormal encounters that you have had. Now, you mentioned something before we get into this, because there's something else. I almost forgot about this, but you had pointed to something in the store here at Undercity Comics in Whittier, California. You had pointed to a book called The Returning Wizard, which made me think about something that you had said, mentioning about being a wizard yourself. Would you care to shed some light on that statement you made the last time you were here?
Indubitably. Well, the whole wizard persona didn't really fully come into being until Blooming Fire. Like, it was my family here that really sort of inspired me to really unleash it's basically all the collective experiences I've had in the paranormal and
it's basically something that possesses him while he's on stage.
Interesting.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Interesting. It's like all the
Precisely.
souls of every musician is coming to Dryden right now.
Yeah, I sort of invoke, I feel, especially on stage, but you know, even in our studio sometimes when I'm in the zone, it's almost like this portal opens up and I'm invoking this sort of energy from outside of myself, and I let that sort of take over, and then I just become me. Dryden becomes the observer, and then there's something else at bay here that working this magic, and that permeates into many other things in life. But music is definitely the number one when it comes to projecting that type of energy. That's where I guess people just started calling me the Wizard pretty soon after Blooming Fire started, and I just kept going with it.
That's a great title to have.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
It's his flow state.
It's my flow state.
I like that. I like that.
I have to interject a little bit just because last night G-Man and I were having a conversation, and he mentioned that, have you ever had an experience where you're outside of your body just looking in? I'm like, yeah, all the time. It's like, don't you always do that? I mean, don't people do that? Can't you look up from the outside and see your outside perspective and see you doing things?
I think a lot of people don't.
Interesting.
I find that sometimes I do.
That's
things.
like astral projecting. Like that's like another.
It's a whole nother level.
How deep are you? Like how far away from the body are you?
I mean, not far, but I can wander in my mind's eye, and then I begin to see myself and just see my surroundings. And I thought it was something that people can just do, with their imagination, or just when they get into deep thought or meditation. But I'm finding out more and more that some things that I do aren't normal.
Strange one. Have you been astral projecting yourself lately?
Apparently. I had no idea that's what I was doing. I'm just like watching myself sleep. I'm like, that must be nice.
That is also similar to what Dryden's describing. When you are in a flow state of creation, whether that's music or, when you're in the zone here, G-Man, like even that flow state is like a form of like astral projecting, or like connecting with something beyond ourselves.
Oh yeah,
for
absolutely,
sure.
Absolutely.
So I can relate to that, Dryden.
Right on, brother. I dig.
Dryden's the wizard, Robbie's the angel of the group, and Ian's the alchemist. That's about it.
Nice.
That's what you need it for.
Right, exactly.
Living in California.
Exactly.
Right. Well, this has all been amazing so far. But we are not done yet. Now, as you know,
we haven't even started.
We haven't even started.
We just opened the door.
Exactly. So, as you know, we are a paranormal podcast. So, just like last season, Dryden. Now, I know you have 2 stories here, but I believe Sierra and Robbie, you have stories also. Is that correct?
Mine, I have many stories, but I was thinking about sharing one small one today.
Yeah,
and
that's
then Robbie
great.
has a spiritual encounter that we've all experienced,
Okay.
but comes from his past, and it's actually a really beautiful connection to the spiritual realm.
Perfect.
Mine's another UFO encounter, and Dryden's, I know, is a ghostly encounter again. Both of them are?
I actually had another UFO story as well, but I think, we'll go with the ghostly one, G-Man.
Okay. No, that works for me. So here's what I'd like to do. First off, I'd like to go a little off script here.
Okay.
So.
Ooh, did you hear that bang on the table? That was creepy.
It's like Law and Order.
This just in.
Ooh.
All right. So here's what I'd like to do. We're going to go a little off script here. We have 3 of you here in studio, which means we get 3 spooky stories, and I'm very excited about this. So we're going to start off with Dryden's story, then we're going to move on to Sierra, and then we're going to move on to Robbie. So, Dryden, I'm going to give you the mic. You take it away. David, can I get some mood music, please? Perfect. Take it away, Dryden.
I'm already getting goosebumps. Okay, so the story I decided to talk about today is related to a ghostly experience in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. And this happened in the summer of '95. So my mom just remarried, and the day after the wedding, my aunt and uncle decided to surprise me and my brothers by telling us they're going to treat us to a trip to Gettysburg, which is maybe 2-3 hours from where they got married. And we were all really excited about that. We didn't go on very many trips at that time in our life, and it was a big deal. So we were really happy, and we go to Gettysburg. It just so happened to be like the hottest, humid weekend of the entire summer. I remember it was just unbearably hot. I think the humidity was like at 85-90%. It was ridiculous. So Gettysburg is mostly fields, battlefields, and we couldn't do anything during the day. So we checked into the hotel, and we spent the majority of the day in the swimming pool. Towards the end of the day, my aunt thought it would be a good idea for us to check out the Pickett's Charge battlefield at dusk, since it was cooler. So, just for reference, Gettysburg involved the largest number of casualties of the entire Civil War, and it was the turning point of the War for the Union. Over 8,000 men lost their lives in Gettysburg, and the Battle of Pickett's Charge, in particular, was a decisive victory for the Union, and 50% of the Confederacy soldiers were killed. 1,500 soldiers were killed in one day, just on that field alone. So that's where we're headed at dusk. Also, historically speaking, Gettysburg is one of the most haunted places in America. For those of our listeners out there, I'm sure you already know that. But I'd been there before. I hadn't seen anything out of the usual, but this particular experience shook me to my core and has stayed with me vividly ever since. All right, so we're going to get into it now. I'll never forget that creepy feeling when we got there. We walked past, it was like a crumbling lookout tower. Right by the edge where you could park, and there was this weird lookout tower, and it hadn't been around since the Civil War, but there was just something about it that was off. That was when I first started to feel a little weird. We were all alone, and the tourists had made their way back to town. When we walked out of the field, I felt multiple waves of goosebumps enveloping me. I could tell that my younger brothers were uneasy as well, but we all decided to carry on, and we walked deeper into the field that was surrounded by lush forest. So as the sun descended over the horizon, twilight was upon us, and that's when I started to feel this energy that I'd never felt before. It felt as if we weren't alone, and I was terrified. I just remember looking at my aunt and uncle, they're okay, right? Because am I alone here? Am I just tripping? What's happening here? But they seemed confident and wanted to walk the field, so we kept going. But there was this kind of magnetic force, this pull that kept pulling us deeper into the field, where the blood of thousands of men leached the soil. Back in 1863. So as the stars started to show themselves, that's when we saw the fog arise from the forest. Usually when fog approaches, you can see it from every direction. But this fog was centralized and moving like a cloud on the ground. We all stopped in our tracks, and I saw my younger brothers gripping the hand of my aunt and uncle. At that point, we were about a mile from the car, and I just remember focusing on this fog. It started to become, it was more dense, and it started to get significantly cooler. It was so hot during the day, and the summers back east, as you know, Sierra and Robbie, can be, even in the evening, can be just sweltering wet. There was this fog. I just remember it was turning my blood cold, and it was very strange, and there was just this feeling we had to go deeper and deeper into the field. It was very weird. So as the stars started to come out, it was getting darker, we noticed that the fog started sort of taking on shapes. At first, we couldn't tell what kind of forming into, but then we could see after a while that it was beings, human beings. Yeah, and that's when they started to take shape. That's when we knew we had to be seeing ghosts. They started to form into lines.
When you say we, you mean
my aunt and uncle.
Everyone was acknowledging this together.
Okay.
Yes, we were all acknowledging. It wasn't just me.
Oh wow! See, that's when really cool when that kind of thing happens. When
Right.
it's the group is together, knowing,
And everybody is witnessing this
right,
as opposed
and you're
to just
not on
Yeah.
any
I'm not
Yeah.
the only one seeing this, am I?
substances. You're with
Right.
your family. You're younger, and they're adults, and that's almost scary. I feel when you're a kid, when an adult even acknowledges, you're
Right.
oh shoot, this is real.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there was a few experiences I had as a child where I don't know if I'd necessarily believe my own eyes if it wasn't for an adult being present or another person.
Right.
And in this case, we were all very much aware of what was happening. We were all very much creeped out, but yet we just kept walking deeper into the field. So as we're seeing this, I'll never forget this. All the sounds in the field just stopped. This
Getting
is
those
scary. This is
goosebumps
scary,
again,
yeah. This is a very creepy story for sure.
I can see them.
You can see, you guys,
can see
yeah.
the-
Okay.
So
this
when
is
you
valid.
when you say that all the sounds that you heard had stopped, would you say it's like an earthquake? When an earthquake's about to happen, it's everything just goes still, and then all of a sudden the shaking starts to happen. So would you say it was just crickets and crickets, and all of a sudden just complete silence?
Yes, absolutely. And that's a great analogy there, G-Man. because I've actually experienced paranormal activity right before an earthquake and we just had an earthquake last night.
That's
felt
right.
it.
Oh yeah.
I was
oh,
up.
Yeah.
I was
All these
awake.
synchronicities here. So, yeah, that's exactly like how it was.
Okay.
It's like, and then, we felt this wave of silence, and then these shapes we could actually see. This is actually like something out of a movie. I've seen all kinds of crazy stuff throughout my life, but I'd never seen like a transparent ghost.
Right.
And we saw several of them, and look, they were like in a battalion. But we couldn't see their feet. However, there was you could see their uniforms, and they were just kind of floating around the field. Just this mist and cloud was only in one spot, and it just started. They started to get clearer and clearer, and it looked like one of the leaders of the pack was almost beckoning to us.
Oh wow.
At that point, I'm like, okay, we gotta go. My aunt and uncle are crazy if they think we're gonna go farther into the field right now. And then we all grabbed their hands and we took off running to the car as fast as we can. I was there. I was 10 years old at the time, or 11, and my brothers were like 8 and 6, 5 or 6. But I think they were just as scared as they were.
Oh,
as
I can
was
imagine.
as well. I mean, we took off as fast as we could. Remember, we got
G-Man's like, I would have stayed.
I would have.
I would have went to him.
And this is what I love about this band is that they already know me. They already know that I would stay behind and try to get as much evidence as possible.
Yeah. It's funny. G-Man and I had this conversation a while back. He says if we go on an investigation and an apparition came out in front of us and something came at us, would you run? I'd be like, no. And he's like, oh, you'd run. I was like, no, I can't run. My arthritis hurts too much. I can't
that's right.
run. I'm just gonna be like, well,
good partner to have then.
I guess I will be the distraction. You all save yourselves.
Oh my goodness.
Wow, Dryden. I think that's one I haven't heard yet.
Wait, you haven't heard one of my stories yet? How is
I
that
know.
possible?
You actually, it's very possible. Every time you're pulling out some story, I'm like, wait, what? Never heard.
When did this happen?
Well, some of them I've heard many, many times, but then some will be completely left field that we haven't heard. Have you heard that one, Robbie?
Nope, I have not heard that one yet.
My brothers, they'll vouch for me 100% on this.
I believe it.
Oh man. Oh, and it's interesting too because you're saying that you were about 11 years old and you had siblings that were around 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting how the mind as a child, really the imagination just starts to run wild to the point where when you do see something that is hard to believe. Yeah, and it's hard to unsee. Absolutely. So I can imagine, not just you, your aunt, and your uncle running away, but you running away also. And you said that they were just kind of floating around back and forth or in one spot?
They seem to be. No, it initially came out of the forest, and
Okay.
they started moving towards us.
Okay.
As we're moving closer into the field,
Moving
There's
as a
no
unit.
one else around. It's
Right.
why are we doing this?
Yeah.
There was this magnetic force. It was like we were in a trance.
Yeah.
And we broke out of that finally and just hightailed it back to the car. I'll never forget the relief I felt when we got in the car and the engine started.
Oh,
Felt
yes.
like we got out of there with our lives.
Do you feel like maybe like you and your family being there because of what you're seeing, you're creating some sort of energy altogether, which then quite possibly they could have been feeding off of it, or maybe your energy was giving them more, a chance to really show themselves and be able to show you hey, this is our field, this is where we died on, this is where we battled on. What do you think?
Yeah, did you get a bad energy, a scary mean
Good
energy?
question,
Or
good
was
question.
it more pride, I'm showing you history?
Well, I was scared, but if in hindsight, to think about it that way in those terms, then yes, I think it was more of a historic, they're frozen in time, stuck in sort of a type of purgatory, I guess. They can't break through, and then they're gonna make themselves known. It seemed like whatever it was we were seeing, these apparitions, were definitely aware that we were there, and they wanted to be seen.
Interesting. Yes, a lot of people have reported in Gettysburg seeing apparitions and hearing cannons go off, hearing
Drums.
drums. That's right. Yes, thank you, Strange One. Hearing drums going and happening on that field. A lot of people have will purposely go to Gettysburg early in the morning just so they can hear or witness anything. And a lot of the time, I'm going to say they don't. And it's usually when you don't expect it is when it happens.
Right. They were there at night, which
Yeah.
is,
Yeah. That is. Do you recall what time it was when this happened?
Dusk, right? Right after sunset.
Yeah, it was right around 9:30
Interesting.
p.m.
Interesting. A lot of people have said around that time is when they start to hear or see things.
Really?
Yeah.
Tisk tisk.
Huh.
It sounds like it's an echo, an appropriate amount of time that things start to repeat. So in that period of time, it's not like when you have the between 2 and 4 o'clock, you have those hours.
Right. Yeah.
But I think during that period of time for those experiences, it echoes, so it repeats. So that's why it becomes common to hear them within that period of time.
That's interesting too, because like to me, when I hear about something like that, or like I've had many different types of like ghost encounters myself, but with something like that, like I wonder if like the spirit has passed on, and it's more like part of the spirit, or like something about that is there for like the purpose of like history or something. I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I wasn't
like
there.
It's not conscious. It's just energy.
Yeah.
Right.
I've had that thought
It's
myself.
not like directing like a dark energy towards somebody. It's almost like
there's residual energy
it's
that
weird that he even
stays.
said
Residual
frozen
energy,
in
that's it.
time, or like this pattern, like the repetition, like that is
Right.
kind of what it just is what it is.
I'm
Like,
glad
that
you brought that up
sounds-
though, because there's a lot of studies that state that when for the Civil War, when people died, they didn't know that they died. Like they'd be running across the field and bullets and cannons would be going off and they'd get hit the floor and not get up. But then they'd wake up and all of a sudden it's like the year 1999. And they're now walking around going, I don't understand, like we were just in a war. And that's that residual energy that is staying within that whole entire area, because that was a horrific war that had happened. And so I can imagine all the energy that is still there within those fields and in any war zone, really. And it's just interesting that talking about residual energy and how it's still there, but manifesting itself, and how you're talking about, Dryden, the what you saw them marching back and forth or coming forward at you.
Yes.
I don't think they were coming at you. I think they were just doing what they were told to do, which was back then,
Right.
move forward, march
repeating
forward.
the pattern,
exactly.
a moment frozen in time.
Yeah. Now, I know we could talk about this for hours and hours on end, but I believe now it's time for Sierra to let us know about her paranormal encounter.
Well, I have many, which we could do our whole own thing with it, and I'd love to hear some history on some of it. But the one that I was going to share today is a short little snippet, but I've seen many UFOs throughout my life, mainly once I became a teenager and older. Ghosts and other type of spiritual energy I've had connections with since I was very young. But UFOs specifically, I didn't really notice that, or it didn't come into my reality until about when I was a teenager. So this specific story is actually, I just had graduated. It was my freshman year of college, and I would go back to visit my parents pretty regularly. And one of my really good buddies, Pat, who I grew up with, we were really into talking about UFOs and aliens. And I mean, who isn't? It's awesome to like at least even just question what
you
is
watch
actually out
ET
there.
and then next thing you know, you're like, I wonder if that's real. You start looking into it. Yeah.
Right. So where my parents live, it's like out in the middle of nowhere, a lot of cornfields, this and that. So, we would go to meet up at his house and we'd jam and hang out, and we'd be like, okay, let's go blaze one in the field, because we can't blaze one at our parents' house, even though we were like in college, we could do whatever we want. It's just out of respect, and also just to, go out in the open field, look at the stars, this and that.
Oh yeah.
So we'd go out on his Volkswagen Rabbit. He's like my good buddy, and he has one of those little Volkswagen Rabbit cars at the time.
Nice.
But we'd lay on his roof and we'd and look at the stars and see if we could see anything. And we'd track like where the satellites are and different stars, this and that. But this one night in particular, this UFO, which I totally can categorize this as a UFO, because every time I've seen a UFO, it's looked the same. It's kind of this like fission of like light and energy, almost like a sparkler, or is that what those are called when you have on 4th of July?
Oh yeah.
It looks like that type of like fission type of energy, or a shooting star. It's kind of all like that type of look, but obviously it's far away. Or is it? How far is this thing?
Exactly, yeah.
That's what we were starting to ask ourselves even in that moment. And yeah, mind you, we blazed one up, but it's not like you're hallucinating. You're
right.
just you're more open maybe, and really seeing everything clearly. But in the distance we saw like that fission type of like energy. UFO moving, and it would move like in patterns that like a shooting star couldn't, a satellite cannot, a airplane cannot. Plus, like, we know what those look like, and we use that Starfinder app, and you can actually see on the Starfinder app when it's like a satellite and things like that.
Okay.
And obviously the different stars and this and that. So
Right. Constellations
anyway,
and all
constellations,
that. Yeah.
this and that. So it's like it's moving in like diagonals and like kind of in one area, hovering, if you will, but like in one area, and we're like, dude, what is that? Like hitting each other. Are you seeing this? Are you seeing this? We're like both up. We're like getting freaked out. And for some reason, not every time I've seen a UFO, but this time in particular, I did have like an uneasy feeling. Both of us did, but we were like, we really felt like we should probably get out of there, but we also wanted to like stay as long as we could before we felt even more freaked out. So we're like seeing it kind of up in the sky, like where the stars are, but like a little closer than the stars. And then it goes lower, but not into the field, but like at the tree line. So the field's like wide open, and then like we're up here in the sky, and like lower at the tree line is where it kind of moves to. And we were like, dude, we got to get out of here. But like I said, now I'd probably stay personally,
right,
like who I am now. But then we didn't. But we got in the car and we're like driving, and we're just driving down the dust road and like sped all the way to his house. And that was pretty much it. But that's one of many UFO sightings that I've seen. But that was definitely probably the second closest I've ever seen.
Wow. Okay.
'Cause usually I feel like when I see something, I feel like I do see it kind of far away. But this was pretty in my backyard, if you know what I mean.
Right. Yeah.
It was definitely right there.
Yeah.
And this is like northeast Ohio.
Okay.
Right there on the edge of Pennsylvania.
Wow.
So it's right where my parents live. It's out like on the edge of Ohio and Pennsylvania. We've been out there many times. We've seen other things. You know, we've seen other UFOs, but that was the most like vivid experience we had.
Oh my goodness. My goodness.
And when we're driving in the car back, like the energy that we felt was definitely like something new, that we were there. Like we felt seen. We felt like something was there with us,
yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Because I have a pretty strong intuitive like instinct in certain situations, especially in like the spiritual realm. Like if I go to a house, an old house, or even certain apartment buildings.
Do you start to just pick up on certain things?
I can feel like if the space has energy.
Interesting.
I'll even use that ability in a sense when I'm like looking for a new place to live or something. Like if I feel a certain energy somewhere, it's usually going to be a no.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Not always, but usually.
Interesting.
But
really
even the house I grew up in had that energy in it. But these are other stories for other days. But that's just a little snippet UFO story with me and my buddy back home. But
strange one. I think we need to start going to Ohio.
Yeah.
Ohio is where I've actually had most of my encounters throughout my life.
Well, Athens too.
Athens, Ohio, where I went to college. It's the 13th most haunted place in the world.
Interesting.
Where I went to college, and I've got some. Definitely. I just got the chills even saying Athens, Ohio, but Robbie's been there.
Yeah, we walked around the building. It was pretty creepy.
Oh, my
It
goodness.
Really
yeah, you definitely feel energy out there. And Robbie doesn't always feel it. Like I said, he's the angel of the group, and I mean that in the sense, like, yes, behaviorally, if you will, but more so because he's, like, protected light energy.
Okay.
And just, yeah, anyway, he doesn't always, like... That energy is not always revealed to him because I feel like he genuinely has a shield.
Okay.
And when we're together as a band, it's harder to break through with us as a band because of Robbie's energy being
interesting.
There. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll have to be sleeping or something.
Yeah, if he's sleeping or something is definitely when things will happen.
Oh, wow.
He's seen things as well.
Yeah.
It's not that he hasn't, but definitely ghosts and spirit energy, darker energies. It's really hard for that to break through when we're with Robbie. It's
weird when I feel those energies when it comes. I get that tingly feeling that we all kind of have goosebumps wise. But I think I definitely feel the light right after that. You know, it's like I feel it, and then I'm like, oh, I'm cool because I got this shield.
Which did not always happen for me. When I met Robbie is when that stuff, like UFO sightings. Spiritual encounters, just different things like that, different energies, that actually became less being around him, which has been, it's just been interesting to even notice that.
I'll say, okay.
Because we've known each other like 7 years. So, I mean, it still happens. I mean, the tour story, Robbie was with us, but he was asleep.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
I want to get to you real soon here, Robbie. I just had one thing I wanted to talk about, which was your UFO encounter that you just talked about with us. Strange one. I believe you and I had a conversation one time. I decided to have a camp out with my two boys in the backyard. And they, we stayed up, had s'mores, danced to some country music, all that fun stuff.
Nice.
They go to sleep. I decide to get up. I get mesmerized by stars. So I'm standing there in my backyard with my neck straight up in the air, just, hurting after that. But I noticed something, and that is what you described is what I've seen before.
The fission light.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen the fission light type of UFO or whatever. That's the thing. That's the best way I can label it because of the way it moves. But every single time, that's what it's looked like, and I've seen it probably 6 times.
Wow.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So I called Strange One. I was having a little bit of a freak out moment.
Yeah, you're like, dude.
Yeah, I call him and I was like, bro, tell me I'm not seeing what I think I'm seeing. Now, can you, Strange One, remind me, what did you tell me, though? You said that it was actually pretty common for people to see certain things up in the skies, whether it's a satellite or, something
the satellite is usually red and it blinks
and it moves
on a very specific pattern, so it's very easy to spot.
And it was really interesting because I thought it was a satellite, but what I saw was it looked like someone had just turned a light on.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I've seen it come from afar and get closer and bigger and then leave like back again.
Okay.
And get smaller and smaller.
Okay.
But I've also seen it just turn on like a light and it be there in that fission of energy, but it's the movement patterns that have always stuck out to me where I'm like, okay, this isn't a star, this isn't a shooting star, this isn't an airplane. It's moving in a way that like nothing else moves.
Right. Yeah. It's how do you explain that?
And it's not moving a lot all the time. I have seen them move a lot where it moves in these big diagonals, okay?
Right.
But that encounter specifically, it did move in smaller diagonals, but most of the time I've seen them, they're moving. I hate to use it like hovering because it's just so cliche, but it really does, like, it almost moves in this very like fluid, floaty, like side to side diagonals, like not just straight lines, not on a path. It's, you know what I mean? It's a little bit faster.
Right. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
If I can actually interject on that point, I've actually seen a similar UFO when I was younger, but it was very brief, and I just second guessed myself. I was like, it was probably nothing,
Yeah.
Most recently, it was actually after you told me about that backyard incident. I was actually throwing the trash out in by my place, and there's just a line of garages right where I'm at, and it's well lit, and I happen to just look up into the sky, and I see a line of like 12 lights in a straight line. Like if you had a ruler and just drew dots along a ruler, that was in the sky. And it's it was pretty high up, you can tell when, how high planes will fly, and this was not a satellite, and it was pretty widespread. It was it was way too big, too spread to be an airplane, because if it was that spread out, it would be much closer and it would be much easier to identify as an airplane. So this was way up. And you have to figure, if it was high up, I've never seen satellites move in formation like that high up in the sky. And it just slowly, very slowly, and almost would stop and continue going. Just slow and stop and continue going.
Yeah, that's weird when it's that many in a row like that.
And it was a straight, and I just watched until until it was out of sight. I tried my best to record, but as I mentioned, it was well lit.
Nothing at night can be recorded well.
And that's the hard part, because it was so well lit, the camera wouldn't be able to pick up anything past the light.
Why does so many things happen at night?
Because it's cover of darkness.
The dark.
The dark can be an easy way. Yeah, revealing, and definitely an easier way to, maneuver and not be seen. It's interesting when you ask about, why does it have to be dark as opposed to like during the day? And during the day you will see things.
have had encounters during the day, but most, not just UFO, but like just everything, most of my encounters have been
Yeah.
that night.
Oh yeah.
If I had to guess, I would say that our senses are more heightened in the dark. We pay more attention.
Yeah,
when things
like
are
our
darker.
animalistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not so much that things are more intense. It's just that we're more sensitive.
I agree with that 100%.
Well, this has been, again, very fascinating, and I'm enjoying hearing all about your encounters. And we are going to get to Robbie's paranormal encounter right after a word from our sponsor for this episode. Well, hey there, hello there, bats and ghouls, G-Man here. Have you heard of My Floral Creations? They specialize in creating custom Mickey ear headbands with a twist, like the Sushi Felt Mickey ear headband or the Hagrid Birthday Harry Potter cake headband, or maybe you're a fan of the Disney classic Halloween film, Hocus Pocus. Yes, they have a Hocus Pocus spellbook headband. No joke. These designs are fantastic. A true treat. Just like the Lavender Donut Mickey headband, be sure to visit My Floral Creations on Instagram. Also, be sure to show your support by becoming a member of their Patreon. Visit patreon.com/My Floral Creations. That's patreon.com/My Floral Creations. All right. Well, welcome back, listener. We are just going to get straight into Robbie's story of his own paranormal encounter. So, David, can I get some mood music, please? Perfect. Take it away, Robbie.
Well, this is more, I would say, kind of a spiritual encounters that I've been kind of having since the story kind of revealed itself. It all started with my aunts. So basically, kind of a background. When I was about 8.5 years old, my mother passed away from leukemia, and it was a very hard moment for my whole family. My dad's side, he has 3 siblings. My mom's side has 3 siblings, and so it was a pretty hard moment for the whole family. But we're so tight, and we have such a good tribe. We pushed through it, and we helped each other out, and I can't say how much love that I got to receive during those moments. So I shout out to all those, to all those people that happened to, and then they didn't have the support. That's when I think how sad that moment is. I think about all those kids that stuff happens. But back to the story was, so my mom collected dimes. Her and her girlfriends would always go to Las Vegas together every year. It was kind of a girl trip for the girls. And throughout the year, she would collect dimes. And she always played dime slots. That was her thing. So basically, my Aunt Jackie, which is my mom's sister, she went to work. She worked at a grocery store, and she had a lot of locals and a lot of customers that she would interact with. And this one specific customer, he was an older gentleman. He was like, "You never believe what I found in the meat department today when I was, picking up some steaks." He goes, "There was a penny, He goes, "I picked up a steak, and right underneath the package, there was a penny right there." And she's like, "Oh, that's amazing." He was explaining to her that my brother collected pennies his whole life. When we were kids, he'd always collect pennies. He wouldn't collect dimes or any other change. He'd always collect pennies. And so my Aunt Jackie was like, "Oh, wow, that's a cool spiritual thing." And he goes, "Yeah, my brother and I, we'd always cook steaks together." So it was kind of a symbolic moment for him. So my Aunt Jackie was like, "Whoa, that's a really cool story." And so that night, she actually walked to her car. And, if you work for a grocery store, your boss always wants you to park really far out in the parking lot. That way all the customers can get up there. And when she got up to the door, she noticed a dime right by her door. She noticed a dime, and she's like, "Whoa, that's pretty strange, Guys tell me about this penny story, and there's just this random dime right next to my car door." So she ends up picking it up. My Aunt Jackie she doesn't really know about the gambling and the dimes.
Gambling.
Yeah.
Okay, it was not gambling.
It's not gambling, but my aunt Jackie wasn't. she wasn't part of the crew that went out to Vegas.
It was your mom and her friends.
Okay.
So, but what linked this up was, I guess it would be her.
Her sisters knew she collected the dimes, though, right?
No, not yet.
Oh, they did not know.
yet.
Okay, interesting. I forgot about
Wow.
that.
What connected the story was, so my Aunt Jackie has that moment. I guess you would call it her sister-in-law because it's her husband's brother's wife. So her brother's wife, that was one of my mom's girlfriends that they would go out to Vegas with. And so they were all four hanging out, and she was, hey, how was Las Vegas? How was it?
Jackie was asking her?
My Aunt Jackie was asking her, hey, how was Vegas? And she's like, it was hard. Nancy wasn't there. That's my mom. It was the first year that she wasn't there. But Dwayne gave us all of her dimes to go gamble with, or to go play the slots. So we all went to the dime slots and played with her dimes that she collected that year. And so at that moment, that's what kind of opened up the vortex
for your Aunt Jackie.
For my Aunt Jackie, of saying, whoa,
this is connected.
This is connected. This guy told me about this penny story. I found the dime at the parking lot. And so she tells my other sister, her other sister,
your aunt.
my Aunt Chris. Once she's told my Aunt Chris, there's just things that were kind of happening, that these dimes kept appearing, and then be like random. Like I know, like one of their moments that they told me about was, they were vacuuming a rug up, and then they fold it, put it on the side, vacuum that area up, sweep, and then they would open up the carpet and there would be a dime in the middle of it.
So wait, I'm sorry.
After
So let me
vacuuming.
say. So they close the carpet up.
Right.
No, nothing's in there.
Well, yeah, they
vacuum
you
first,
vacuum up,
Okay.
and then
roll it up to move it to vacuum under it,
Okay.
and then roll it back out to put it back after cleaning and vacuuming.
And a
then the
dime would
dime's
be
there.
just appear.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
And
So we've all encountered these dimes as well. This
Yes,
is just the
we have.
beginning of the dimes.
Oh,
So
wow.
Go on.
Okay.
Go on.
Yeah.
Robbie.
So
the Vegas story with the cousins is just so
Oh, yeah.
it's just
Okay.
Yeah, there's been so many spiritual moments that like it happened. I mean, this one, like what she just said, like it kind of reminded me of it, because there's been so many interactions that's happened where you can't be like, all right, that was just a coincidence,
Right.
So this one specific moment, my cousin Deanne, it was her 21st birthday, and pretty much me, my brother, and my two cousins Tyler and Deanne, we all kind of grew up together.
like practically brothers and sisters, like
Exactly.
Oh,
that
okay.
type of cousin.
Wow,
tightness.
really close. Okay.
Really close. And we were all single too at the moment, or not single.
They're close in age.
but close in age. No one was married, but it was her 21st birthday. It was the last one of us four to turn 21. And so they live in St. Louis, and so we all met in Vegas. I was living out here in LA at the moment. And so I think we're at the Bellagio or some bougie hotel. My uncle got a really nice place for her, and it was a really cool weekend. But right when we got there, we're all in a circle, and we're
In
all
the lobby.
In the lobby. We're first seeing each other. This is the first time us seeing each other, and we're all talking, and then all of a sudden, I just look in the middle of us, and there's a dime right there, sitting right in the middle of us.
Whoa.
And that happened. Similar story happened when I met my Aunt Jackie down in Long Beach. There's a Long Beach Convention Center down there.
Oh, yeah.
His Aunt Jackie also lives in St. Louis, so she's in town.
Okay.
So she's in town, and same thing that happened. We're meeting in the convention center. We start talking, and I just point it to the ground. I'm like, or I didn't even point at it. My Uncle Don pointed at it. And that was the coolest moment, because he's pointing at it, because he's knowing the story. He's like, there's a dime right there, guys.
Oh my goodness.
And it's like right beside me. So there's,
there's a lot of these dimes that have showed up.
Wow.
And not even people who have ever known Nancy. Like,
Really?
even my mom has had a
Okay.
dime situation because my mom knows the story. Even Robbie and I, the first time we ever went camping, in our tent. It's all closed up in our tent. We're setting up the tent. After we set up, all of a sudden, right there on our bedding, 2 dimes.
Whoa.
And that was weird because it's like 2 dimes. I mean, mind you, yes, it could have fallen out of our pocket. It could have already been in the tent. But it's just weird that this many situations would happen.
Right.
Oh yeah, it's
Any other ones that stick out?
yeah, my good buddy Zach, you know, he's an artist, he's a painter, he's one of my, you know, friends. When I started growing up, we started talking spiritual and started talking psychedelic, almost in a way, psychedelic spiritual situations and
Questioning
what
is.
and you know, and he knows the dime story, and so he moved out to Joshua Tree, which he's still out there to this day, and so he called me that morning. He's like, Rob, you're not gonna believe what I found this morning. I'm like, what happened, dude? And he's like, well, we moved all our stuff in last night, and I'm leaving, you know, I'm just, you know, going out the front door that morning, and there's a dime just laying there right in front of the door.
It's
And,
the placement of them that is like,
Yeah.
it's not just change out of the pocket. Because how often are you seeing like it's so centered, like
Right.
perfectly somewhere?
Right.
Like perfectly placed. When you see fallen change, it's usually like
Off to the side. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's also like an energy. Like when I've seen the dimes, you can just feel this kind of, it's like this loving energy.
It is. It's like a
Interesting.
sign. It'll come to you in a moment where you do need a sign, or you're like, actually, you are looking for reassurance or just different things.
Right.
Yeah, there was one night too, this one specific moment. It was actually out here in LA, and I was at the studio real late. This is before I met these guys. And I think I was probably 22, 21 years old, young and trying to convince myself I'm going to be a drummer. And just one night, you know, I was playing my drums and as I'm playing beats and playing music, I'm just kind of feeling just sad and, you know, and just feeling a little bit down. And I'm kind of like looking down at my bass drum and kind of just, you know, letting music just heal me. Because sometimes when I'm playing music, there is that dark energy that just kind of getting out of you. You know, you're just trying to get that funk out of you. And so, but at that moment, I'm just looking down at my bass drum, and I'm just starting to, and like kind of like the vibration of the bass drum, it's kind of just pushing this thing out, and I'm like, and you know, I'm seeing a little bit of silver, and it's starting to creep out a little bit more,
What do you mean out of the bass drum?
Like, you know, like in the bass drum where you have like, you know, I put blankets in there and stuff like that, but you can still see through the bass drum because it's clear. So I'm just starting to see this dime kind of vibrate itself out of the blanket.
Whoa.
like inside
of it, as I'm having that kind of moment of just being, you know, just in a weird zone. I mean, it's probably because I was up there like 2:30 in the morning.
But even then, though,
Still.
regardless of the time, the fact that you guys are telling me that these dimes are appearing in moments of your life where it's like things aren't really working out, or it's just you're stressed out or whatever's going on, and then all of a sudden these dimes just pop up.
Oh yeah.
And it's like you said, it's a loving kind of feeling.
It is.
And
It's like a
and-
reassurance.
Yeah.
Because definitely. When you see that, you're like,
Things are gonna be
you
okay.
feel like people are looking out for you. You
yeah.
do.
Yeah.
And there was this weird thing I did one day that I don't even know if I can pull up that code still. I did this code thing where I was really investigating a dime, and
Robbie's really into numerology and
Okay.
things like that. So he really does look into numbers pretty deeply.
Awesome.
well, my mom was born on the 10th.
Oh,
you know.
okay.
So she was born on the 10th, and so I just, you know, I know that you can write out her whole name, all the lettering that's on the dime. You can, you know, Nancy Louise Coe, or actually, I did her maiden name actually, Nancy Louise Seibert, and you can her whole name is on the dime. So it's
What do you mean? It's on the dime.
Within the lettering.
within the lettering.
Oh wow.
So
Interesting.
yeah, and no repeated lettering or any of that. It's you know, so yeah, I'm always kind of, you know, when I met Sierra, she was into numerology too, but she just never knew it. But she was always telling me about 11 and 22.
Well,
That's
22 is my spirit number, and
Okay.
11 is Ian's spirit number, and 11 is also Robbie's spirit number,
Interesting.
which is weird because Ian's my brother and
Yeah.
Robbie's my partner.
Right.
So
Yeah, well, we'll definitely have to come back, bring you guys on again for more of these dime stories because these are really interesting. I could just say this is that right now my mind is blown because all three of these stories have just made my night, basically. So thank you so much, and it's made this episode even much more.
having us,
This has been
G-Man.
great. I gotta say, from the music that you guys play to the environmental work that you do, to watching your Instagram on the places that you guys go, the river pictures that I've seen of you guys in the river playing around. I mean, you're camping, all that stuff. There was even a picture, strange one. I don't know if you've seen this, but there's a picture where they have on they have a van, and on the van is all these solar panels. And I guess it was to correct me if I'm wrong. It was to place somewhere, or you guys were just kind of putting that together.
The solar panels are a new addition to the band. Thanks to Robbie, that was a purchase that he made for the band. So when we do go off grid, we can produce out of our van.
Fascinating.
But we have done one on Earth Day 2020. It was a live stream. We were all, at home. But anyway, it was a live stream, and for Earth Day we did play a live stream show all through solar.
That's amazing.
So
you guys,
we do plan to have more videos like that coming out.
I look forward to seeing all your videos, seriously. And listener, if you get a chance, please check out Blooming Fire. Go to their Instagram page, go to their website. You guys are just amazing.
I love you, G-Man.
Thanks, G-Man. That means a lot.
This has all just been amazing on every level. Well, I think that's going to do it for us here on Into the Void. But before we go, it's time for one last word from our sponsor for this episode.
Dang it. Come on. Shoot. No, that's not what I need. Come on. What is it? Dang it. Shoot. Okay. No, that's not. Darn it. No, that's not what I need. No, that's not. Darn it. What the heck is it?
Dude, what are you doing?
I'm. It's my girlfriend's birthday next week, and I don't know what to get her. No, that's not what I need. No, that's not it. No, that's not it. Well, no, that's not it either.
Well, what is she into?
Well, she's really into handcrafted gifts, and Disney. She loves Disney.
Dude, I got you. Have you heard of My Floral Creations?
My Floral what?
My Floral Creations. It's amazing. They specialize in custom handcrafted Mickey ear headbands. Not only that, they offer handcrafted felt keychains and pillows. Dude, here, check it out.
Looking to learn to create your own colorful items like a donut pillow? Check out My Floral Creations TikTok or YouTube page. Dude, you're a genius.
Bro, drop a DM on their Instagram page for prices or to inquire about their customizable designs. You can also follow their Linktree hyperlink to make a purchase through their Etsy shop. Dude, My Floral Creations will open your mind and widen your eyes with all of their fantastically creative designs. But don't take my word for it. Visit their catalog on their Instagram page at My Floral Creations. Also, check out their TikTok page at My Floral Creations 2019 and their YouTube channel, bro, My Floral Creations on YouTube. Remember, that's My Floral Creations. All right, bats and ghouls, that's going to do it here for another episode of Into the Void. A big thank you to our special guest, Blooming Fire, for joining us once again. Please, let's just give them a hand. That was amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
You guys are amazing on every level. And again, I am truly honored and pleasured to have you on this show. So thank you so much. Sierra, if people wanted to take a listen to your music or be part of what you do, where should they go?
You can find us anywhere online if you just search Blooming Fire, like a flower blooms, BLOOMING Fire, so Blooming Fire. We're on Spotify, Apple Music, SoundCloud, Bandcamp. If you Google search us, our website will come up, Facebook, Instagram, the whole 9 yards. You'll find us, Blooming Fire Music. And keep an eye out. Now's the time to follow us because we have an album coming out in the next year.
Oh, nice.
It's our first full-length album. It's a totally fresh new sound from us, and we cannot wait to share it with everybody.
Bats and Ghouls, you heard it here. They have a brand new album that's going to be coming out. I'm excited. And also, if you like what you heard, be sure to check us out on all our social media pages. Instagram at Void Podcast 18, Facebook at Pod Paranormal 87, Twitter at Nightwing Silver. And also, send us your paranormal encounters into the void 301 at gmail.com. And who knows, maybe you'll get featured in our next episode. Also, be sure to subscribe and smash that like button on our YouTube channel. Just search Into the Void Podcast. Well, that's going to do it for me. I'm G-Man, and I got to go tighten a loose bolt on Frankenstein's monster. So until then, I want to thank you for falling with me into the void.